So, my print mill is very, very busy making something. What could these be? Different colors, same part. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for January the 3rd, 2022. And it's vlog number 247, and it's day 665 of COVID. And this would have also been my parents' 65th wedding anniversary. Would have been. Hard to believe, eh? Anyways, moving right along. So, what are my current projects? What have I been working on? Well, I've pulled out a couple of patterns that I'm working on, sort of at the same time. And the one pattern, now, I told you I was done with Christmas, right? My Christmas decorations are all down, put away for another year. My house is nice and clean for the new year. Got that all out of the way over the weekend. And I was looking forward to starting some new projects for this year. Now, I have a list of projects that I want to do, but, you know, you make lists and you make more lists about your lists, and then you revamp the list again. And so, you know, that's an ongoing project that changes all the time, right? But I have all of that, except I'm working on a Christmas quilt. Yeah, it's January the 3rd, and I'm working on a Christmas quilt. And you're going to say, I thought you said a week or two ago you were sick of Christmas things, of making Christmas things, because I have been making them since about August of last year. Well, about a week ago, I happened to see this pattern that I'm going to show you right now. Just let me switch over. I saw this pattern, and I thought to myself, well, I really like this. And this is what it's called. I'll just blow it up here so you can see it a little better. It's got little houses on it with little Christmas trees. And it's a scrappy quilt because you can make it out of whatever you've got laying around. And it's by Chelsea Stratton Designs. And for those of you that are quilters and watch a lot of YouTube channels, she and her mother have one called The Quilting Life. Her mother is Sherry McConnell. And anybody in the quilting community has probably heard of these ladies before. And this was her pattern. Now, I have never done any of her patterns before, but I saw this one. I thought, I have a thing for little houses on quilts. I made a quilt with little houses on it back, several months ago. And so this one caught my eye. So I decided, okay, it may be January. We may be 11 3/4 months away from the next Christmas day, but I'll do it now and it'll be done for next year. So yeah, what the heck. Now, the thing too is I also thought about altering this design and making it into something that wasn't necessarily Christmas theme. And I'm not really using any Christmas fabrics in it, but nevertheless, because of the design of the trees with the stars, it does give you that feeling for Christmas. But I think with a few minor alterations, you could make this an all-season kind of quilt in a sense. But anyways, I am working on this, and I just thought I'd show you how far I've got so far. Haven't gotten that far. It is not a complicated quilt to put together, but there are a lot of little pieces. And these are 2 out of the 10 houses that I have to make. And I've already selected the fabrics for all of this. Now what I need to do is go into more mass production now that I know how these all work together and get my other fabrics cut. And once I do that, it should be fairly quick to assemble because I'll be able to do an assembly line approach to it. And these are the tree and star blocks. So I need 10 of those as well. So I've got 2 houses, I've got 2 tree blocks. I just need 8 of each of these again, and away I go. Then I'll get the quilt done. So I thought it was kind of cute, and yeah, so that's one of the projects I'm working on. Now I'm going to show you another one that I have selected the fabrics for, but haven't done anything more beyond that. And this is a Bargello, and it's called Making Waves, and it's a very contemporary looking pattern. Now, they call it Making Waves because they've used a lot of blues and some prints that have fish in them and things like that. So it does look sort of like waves on a beach or something like that. I'm not doing it in those colors. I shot my stash And there are quite a few different colors in this quilt, so these are the colors that I'm going to use. And I've laid them out from what I consider to be the lightest to the darkest. Now, I'm taking some liberty with this definition of light to dark, but I think this will look really cool when it's done because of the patterning in these fabrics as well and the colors. So I'm kind of working on two quilts at once. I get a little bored making houses. I'll get back over to this one and I have to cut it into the strips that I need and that kind of thing. So those are two projects that I am in the process of working on. So stay tuned. I will show you how far I get with them in the next week or so, and of course I'll always show you the finished product. Now over on the Idiot Quilter, I will be talking a little bit in more detail about these two patterns, some of the reasons behind my choices in fabric colors and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, tune into the Idiot Quilter tomorrow because that's when I'll be talking about that. So let's move into the YouTube channel of the week. This is by a lady called Brittany Vasseur, and yeah, this is a really interesting channel. The YouTube channel of the week is called Brittany Vasseur. I think that's how you say her last name. Now, this is one of these typical YouTube content creators that make their business from being on YouTube. And she is what they might refer to as an influencer. She does have 1.48 million subscribers, so this is a huge site. Her videos are very professionally done. She herself is a great presenter and is all made up just like you'd see a television spokesperson for this. Now, having said that, that sounds like it's negative, but I have found her videos kind of interesting. The one that got me turned on to her, so to speak, was the one right here called The Shocking Truth About the Costco Kirkland Brand, where she discusses how Kirkland brand, their in-store brand, are basically made by major corporations or brands that you already know, which is maybe not a real shocking revelation, but she does some comparisons in terms of pricing and quality. And as I said, she seems to do her research on everything that she talks about. But she has a whole lot of very interestingly titled videos here. 21 Tiny Habits to Improve Life Effortlessly, 20 Unique Amazon Christmas Gift Ideas, 15 Mom Hacks, Clean With Me, Spilling the Tea, all kinds of different types of videos. And yeah, it is her business. However, not going to hold that against her. Everybody has to make a living somehow, and she certainly does. And if you glean something from her videos that helps you out, then what's the harm? So check out Brittany Vasseur YouTube channel. So you'll find the link to that channel in the show notes below. You'll find the link for Stephen and Walter Live, our first broadcast of the new year. Hey, I forgot to mention that to you. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Yeah. No major changes, though, on the site. I mean, I know a lot of people on YouTube, when they content creators, will get a new inspiration at the beginning of a new year and do some changes or things to their YouTube channel. And I thought about it, but I really couldn't think of any changes. I do have one new segment, which I'm going to come to very shortly, and I'll tell you more about it and what I might be doing with that. But really, no new changes or anything like that. So back to what I was talking about. So I said there's a link to Stephen and Walter Live this week there. There's also a link to the Idiot Quilter latest episode 147. And I talk about what I got for Christmas. And yes, Santa was very good to me, as you'll find out. And when I say Santa, I mean Walter. There is a link to our latest So Chatty episode 41. And we talk about the ins and outs that we have discovered when it comes to buying fabric, either for sewing or for quilting, from places in the States. And we do have some mixed reactions to that. So we thought we'd share those with you. And we're talking about some of the biggies, like Missouri Star Quilt, the Fat Quarter Shop, that kind of thing on there, because these are places that we have dealt with. So we're going to talk from our own real life experiences. So that's up. Okay, so that takes me to the new segment I just mentioned. And I call this looking out my window. And let me just switch over to that picture. This I took just a few minutes before I started the video today, recording. And I have a cam that sits in a window in my living room at the front of my house and looks out onto our street. And I took this picture using that cam. So sorry, it's a little bit pixelated, mainly because at the time I took it, it was still just becoming light out. Here where I live in Canada, right now it's 8:45, and it's only now just getting, fairly light out. Because winter days are short days here where I live. So anyways, this is looking at, that's Walter's car sitting in our driveway. And we had some snow yesterday as well. Not a lot. By the standards of other places in Canada that get a heck of a lot more snow than we do, because where I live in southern Ontario on Lake Ontario, we're affected by the lake and it keeps us a little warmer. And also, there's something called lake effect snow, which I don't really understand what the environmental conditions are for that kind of thing. But we don't really live in a snow belt. We live probably only about 20 kilometers below the snow belt, because 20 kilometers to our north, I can guarantee you right now, they have a lot more snow than we do. And that's not a bad thing for us, because if you ever have to drive in snow, if you come from an environment where there's snow, you know what it's like. It's not fun. And plus you got to shovel it and whatnot. But anyways, I am showing you a picture here. And my idea is that every week for every vlog, I will take another picture from the same spot. And so you'll basically be able to see what the weather conditions are like here where I live, and how the season will change. And then there's a tree here in our front lawn. Of course, right now it is a maple tree, a type of maple tree. And yeah, right now it's leafless. Of course it is. But it's a very nice tree when it's all in full leaf. It's been here on our property since we moved in 27 years ago. It was put in by the contractors. Now there's the whole street has trees along it, but some of the trees over the years have died for one reason or another, and the town have come out and cut those down. Some of them have been replaced as well. I'm just hoping that our tree and our neighbor's tree, because they have a similar tree in front of their house, that's off to my right. You can't see that right now in this picture, but in the summertime when they're in full leaf, these trees touch each other almost. And they have another tree in their front lawn that's fairly large as well. And it kind of is now moving into this canopy as well. And I think it would look great if we were to string lights from it and the whole bit. It would look really nice in the summertime. But I don't think we'll be doing that. Mainly because you'd have to run a wire to the house. And we do have laws about that kind of thing. So anyways, yeah. So this is what today, January the 3rd, third day of the new year, this is what it looks like outside my window. Okay. So that's my new segment. And that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, it's not pissing me off per se. It's just that this time of the year, everybody supposedly makes resolutions. You hear about all kinds of people are going to get slimmer, going to eat better, going to do some major reorganization of their house. They're going to declutter. They're going to freshen up their wardrobe. They have all these ideas. They're going to write in their journal, all that kind of stuff. And we know that resolutions are made to be broken. So I do have a resolution. I have the same resolution every year, and I stick to it. I do not deviate. I never, ever not achieve my resolution. And here's my resolution. I don't make resolutions. Easy to keep. No disappointment there. Yeah. But what I want to say about resolutions is, and on a little bit more serious tone, and why I don't make resolutions is because Although you're really inspired at the first of a new year, there's a rebirth kind of thing, a fresh start, the old year and all its trials and tribulations are done. You're looking forward to a better year. And I can safely say that I think every one of us is looking towards 2022 as a better year. We're hoping. Of course, hate to let the air out of your sails, but didn't we say the same thing uh, when we moved from 2020 into 2021? Yeah, 2021 couldn't get worse than 2020, could it? Yeah. So, anyways, so there's a time when people, you know, feel invigorated to, have these great plans. And then February comes and we've all fallen off the resolution wagon. And we're disappointed. We're disappointed in ourselves because we had these, what we thought were probably very practical goals, and we were really going to stick to them, and we didn't. And we get a little sense of despair because we didn't make or keep the promise we made to ourselves. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. We all feel bloated after the Christmas holidays. We've eaten way too much. We've drank too much. There was lots of chocolate, lots of sweets, everything. And we'll probably figure we've put on a few pounds. Well, combine that right now with the whole COVID-15 or whatever they call that. We've all put on a little bit, haven't we, through the COVID. And we just feel sluggish. Now, part of that is not just because of what we've eaten, but because of our usual routines, whatever those are, have been disrupted with the holiday season. We also have this feeling of possibly a certain amount of letdown, depression, because we're what I call the post-Christmas blues. And I think most people do get that. The excitement, the anticipation of the holidays, although the last 2 years it has been very different because of COVID, of course. But nevertheless, we've had this anticipation. And that's all over. That's all done with. And now we go, well, what's next? And so it makes us feel a little blue. On top of it all, our houses have been all decorated. It looks really nice. But now we take down the decorations and the house looks bare and empty. At least it's the way I feel. And for a couple of days after I take down my Christmas decorations, I'm looking around thinking, how can I spruce things up? It just looks so drab, but you get used to it, right? This too shall pass. So we make all these resolutions that we're going to do these things. And my example here is, and I did digress a little from it, so I'm bringing it back, are people who say they've put on this weight and they're going to go to the gym. Now, many years ago, I was one of those people. And I did join a gym. Walter and I both belonged to a gym. And I was going faithfully. And I did that for several years. This was in my, I was in my 40s. And I eventually stopped buying a gym membership because I wasn't comfortable going to a gym. It was eating up too much time in my day. I was working then as well. And so I bought a treadmill and had it here in the house. And I used it faithfully up until about a year or so ago. And I got rid of it. So yeah, I don't do any exercise, but I do not make a resolution saying that I'm going to do this and I'm going to slim down by, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Yeah, I need to lose 20 pounds, but I know me. I'm just becoming content with the 20 pounds. So these people run off to the gym, all buy a membership, and for January and into February a little bit, they're all there. They're just running their little legs off on the treadmills. They're pumping iron. They're doing burpees. I don't know, everything, because they're going to lose that weight. And the gym is packed. And I used to hate that when I belonged to a gym because all these newbies were in there. They're all over the machines, the whole bit. The change rooms were extremely crowded, the whole bit. It was just a zoo. You dreaded going to the gym because it didn't matter what time of the day you went, it was packed. But by about the 1st of March, that died down. Yep, it went right back to what I was used to in terms of the number of people in the gym. And the reason for that is they didn't stick to their New Year's resolution. Things got in their way, life got in their way, or this happened, that happened, and everything. So the vast majority of those people who bought gym memberships, basically the company selling them made a bundle because These people bought a year's membership, but only used it for the first 2 months of the year. And that's what I mean. Resolutions. And then people look at themselves and go, oh, I really need to go back to the gym. Pass me another piece of cake. Kind of thing, right? So, and then you feel bad about yourself because you didn't live up to your expectations of what you wanted to do. And that's not good. So, what I'm saying about what's bad about resolutions is making a promise you cannot keep. You're putting yourself into the path, into a lifestyle pathway that's only going to disappoint you because you didn't live up to it. So, don't put the pressure on yourself. Don't make those kind of resolutions. Okay, fine. Maybe something like going to the gym is maybe a little bit more than you bit off a little more than you can chew. Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere. Anyways, so other people decide they're going to start to do things that are going to make them, their overall well-being is going to benefit from it. We're all into this wellness kind of thing, aren't we? Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. Okay? So they decide that they're going to create a journal. They're going to start journaling. And of course, this is the time of the year when all of the bookstores and online all have all kinds of beautiful journals to inspire you. And these journals are all organized. They'll organize your life. Some are very, very elaborate. Some are just a bullet journal, which basically appeals to me because it's just a series of lists. And I tried one and it never caught on for me. More about that in a moment. Or, they have sections. Your goals for this week, your goals for today, your goals for this week, your goals for this month, your goals for the year. And then they'll even have like diagrams and charts and things you can fill out to track your progress. And they've got, sections for writing down what you're grateful for. And those are often called gratitude journals, and I don't get them. Then there's pay it forward journals where you make a plan to do some charitable things for people or organizations and all this. You can plan, depending on how much money you want to spend on one of these journals, you can plan your whole year minute to minute in one of those journals. And if you were to do so, you wouldn't have time to do what's written in your journal because you spent all your time writing in the journal. And this is one reason why people who have this great idea that they're going to do a journal, this year or whatever, fall off the bandwagon because it becomes cumbersome. Now, I have searched for the ultimate journal, and I have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what I could use. I won't stick to it. It doesn't fit into my lifestyle, and I am not prepared to alter my life to have it rotate or revolve around a journal. I make lists. I have a little pad of paper. It sits over here on my desk. And see, today, it says up here, I make this little template. Things to do today, Monday. And I list the things I would like to do today. Some of them are things that I need to do. So they're time sensitive, I suppose. And then others are, well, we'll see how I feel. As the day goes on, will I get that done or not get it done? When I get it done, I tick it off. If I don't get it done, then I just transfer it over to the next day's list. It gives me a sense of accomplishment in the day. If I didn't make a list for myself for the day, I would waste my day, or I would feel that I'd wasted my day because I have not accomplished anything. So that's my journal. That's all there is to it. It's just a list of things I want to do. And I try to keep it reasonable. Things that are very manageable that I can accomplish. Now, I do have a clipboard that on that, I put all of my special dates and things like that, events coming up in the week, into my phone. I have a little app that allows me to print out this calendar, and everything is listed on here. And that keeps me on track during the week. And I check those things off. And I can add to it as the week goes on without any problem. Now, I did think at one time, and I tried this, it just didn't work for me, of a yearly calendar, like a goal calendar. For example, I want to start my Christmas sewing by September. or something like that. That I found did not work for me very well. It was too far ahead, life changes, from day to day, from month to month. So I don't usually have any long term goals for a new year. Some people do. They sit down and they think, they have a little meeting with themselves and sort of plan out their year. I don't. I have a vague idea of what I might want to do, but, and of course, right now, given the situation we're in with COVID, making long distance plans doesn't seem to work out because everything changes, with whatever variant is going to hit us tomorrow, kind of a thing. So that's how I get through a year. It's very simple. It works for me. I guess you have to find what works for you. If resolutions work for you, that's fine. All I'm saying is when you make a promise to yourself, which is in the form of a resolution of something you're going to do, and when you don't keep that promise, be prepared to feel down about yourself. So if you want a resolution that I think you can keep, don't feel down about yourself and leave it at that. Move on. Okay, so speaking of moving on, let's go to product reviews. Now, this isn't really, well, it is a product. Let me just switch my screen over here. Just give me a second. I'm having a little technical difficulty beyond my control. And that isn't what I want to show you. Oh, okay. I don't really have a picture of this, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I am going to talk actually about this tomorrow in more detail on the Idiot Quilter because it's more appropriate there. But I bought comic book boards. You're going to say, what's a comic book board? Well, if you're a comic book collector, you need no explanation. It's just basically a piece of cardboard. And it's the ones I bought. I bought them from Amazon. They're not that expensive. I bought two packages of 100 each, and they are just a very stiff piece of cardboard. I think they're considered archival. And what people use them for with comic books is they put a comic book, back a comic book with this and put it in a plastic bag, and then they can store their comic book collection vertically. And comic books there are serious collectors of comic books, and they want to keep them in mint condition, and that's how they do it. But I'm using them for something totally different. You can see behind me my fabrics, and I fold my fabrics and store them vertically so I can see everything at a glance, and rather than having them in a drawer. And I fold them all up in a certain way and clip them together and put them on that shelf, and that works. But what I found was they become a little bit limp. There's nothing really to support them except the other fabrics around them. So when you pull out one bolt of fabric, the other fabrics all kind of lean over. They're all a little limp, is what I'm saying. So putting them back on the shelf and keeping them neat and tidy involves like sticking your hands in there and trying to get the creases out and everything like that. It's a bit of a pain in the butt. And eventually you have to refold your fabrics again because things are just not staying the way you want them. That's where the comic board books come in. You use those as a sort of backing. You wind your fabric around in a certain method, clip it, and you have these neat little bundles. It's very much in small scale what you would find in a fabric store or quilt shop. Their fabric comes on bolts. So basically what you're doing is you're creating a bolt. And this little piece of cardboard inside that bolt gives the fabric some substance, keeps them stiffer, and they're easier to put in and put away, or pull out and put away, because they're on that little board. So, as I said, I bought 200 of these. They weren't that expensive from Amazon, and I'm in the process of getting all my fabrics on them. Now, I've done the top shelf, as you can see in the background. I know it's a little blurry. Now I'm working on the second shelf. It doesn't take long to do it, and it just makes things a little neater. And I have some other reorganization I got to do later today. It's one of the things on my list to put my fabric on these little mini bolts that I'm making, and to clean up my fabric a little bit as well, reorganize. And so that's the only thing I bought new. I also bought something, I can't show it to you, it's supposed to come later today. I bought a clip-on ring light for an iPad. Now, the weird thing is, I saw this on a television show that I was watching, and they weren't even talking about it. It was just in the background. I was watching an episode of and That Just Happened, which is the sequel to Sex and the City. And I happened to see that one of the characters had her iPad set up and she had this ring light clip to it. And I thought, is that a thing? So I went on Amazon. Yeah, it's a thing. And I thought, that might be handy. They weren't very expensive, 20 bucks or something Canadian. So I ordered one. It's supposed to come sometime today. So I'll show that to you next week. And I hope it kind of works out all right, because I think it'll be handy. Okay, so let's have some coffee. Where's that taking me to? Oh yeah, the 3D corner. All right, I do have some pictures here to show you. So that wasn't the picture. There it is. Okay, this is a watering can, obviously. But why did I make one? Well, I'm using it to put the distilled water mixture that I use in my new big elaborate ugly iron. You have to pour the water into it, and I use a funnel. But those big jugs of distilled water are somewhat awkward to use. Not easy, like they're gallon jugs or whatever. And so I needed something that I could, make life a little easier for getting in there. So I went on to Thingiverse. I found this one. It holds about 2 cups of water. My iron holds 8. So, 4 times I fill this up and put it in. But it works really well. So, it's a practical print. That's what they call it, a practical print, when you make something that you can actually use and it isn't a Star Wars figurine or something like that. I also made Walter a garbage can. Okay, the thimble garbage can. You've seen mine before. Here, let me get it. Should have had it a little closer for this, but this. I made this a long time ago. It was a freak thing. I didn't realize it was going to print out this size. And it takes 2.5 days to print one of these this size. But I love it because I put my scraps in it. It's empty now because I just took out the garbage. While I'm cutting fabric or whatever, it sits on my cutting mats and I just throw stuff in. And I said to Walter, you want one of these? Because he always kind of admired it. And he says, well, yeah, I suppose, but I don't know what I'd do. He always says that about everything. When you say to him, would you like one of these? He will always give you this, well, I don't know. He talks himself out of it. So I don't bother to ask. I just make it and give it to him. So I made one of those for him. But I had a little problem. I thought I had enough filament. I did not. It ran out. Just as it was about to print this rim up here, that at that point had been printing for 2 days. You could use it. It looked okay. It was down here, just minus the rim. It would have worked. But what PO'd me is I was giving this to somebody, well, to Walter, and I felt like I'm shortchanging him. I've got the good one. He's got the seconds. So I thought, how can I print it without having to reprint it? So I figured it out. I was able to just produce this piece at the top, and it worked. Printed out. I printed it out in a different color. So his is two-tone, which I did that on purpose because I thought it would look quite nice. And then I glue gunned it to the top. It fit perfectly. No problem. So yeah, these things can be done. Not only that, but now that I have that file like that, if I want to make more of those or even smaller versions, I can do them in 2 different colors. Yeah, I know it's a little thing, but I was happy with it. I was proud of myself that I was able to figure that out all on my little lonesome. Yeah. So, with 3D printing, there's always something to learn. What else with that? Okay. I've had some problems with a type of filament. I bought a 3-pack of filament off of Amazon. I liked the colors. They called them silk. Silk is actually a name of a brand, but these aren't actually that brand. I've had Silk brand before, and they always work very well. And they're nice and shiny and glossy in their colors, which is kind of neat. Actually, was that a silk on this one? I don't think it was. Might have been. But anyways, so I've had nothing but problems with this brand of filament. It's called, and I will tell you so you can beware, iMex, iMextrek, I don't know, Imetrax. My recommendation is stay away from it. I tried everything to get it to print properly, and it just wouldn't. And I tried it on things that I had printed successfully with other filaments, and it just doesn't stick to itself enough. I adjusted temperatures and all that kind of stuff, and it was just, and it gives a horrible texture. Now I'm going to have to experiment with it a little further because I hate to waste that filament. It cost me for the 3-pack about $83. So we're not talking cheap here. Not bad, but it wasn't, but for 3. But nevertheless, I was very, very disappointed in it. So I'm just suggesting you stay away from it. Now, the other thing I'm doing too, there's a whole big, the environmentalist like people are getting really uptight with 3D printers because environmentally friendly it is not. Because you have a lot of waste. You have waste in filament, waste in plastic parts that failed, and these things. This, what I'm talking about here, this is what the filament comes on. Now, there are some companies that have gone to recyclable reels. Some actually make them out of cardboard. But you have quite a collection of these, and I have been throwing them in the recycle bin, but I don't know whether they are actually recyclable. Well, this one does say it is, but that can be misleading. The little recycle symbol on here says this one is. It depends on your area where you live. In general, this might be recyclable, but if your local, dump collectors, recycling collectors, they may or may not take this. Now, so far, they haven't really rejected it, so I think my area does take them that way. But nevertheless, you get a lot of these. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what else could I do with them? Because I'm always thinking of how I can repurpose packaging. Well, people have come up with, and it's not a new idea, I've seen this since I started 3D printing over a year ago, with these little trays that they have made. And you see this little hole up here, and the idea is these slide in to the reel. You drill a hole in the top and bottom, you put a long screw through it, and this becomes a hinge, and these little sections will flip out from the side. So you've got something where you can store little parts and things like that. So I thought, why not give it a try? So this is my result. These are 4 of the little trays, and they should all fit in here very neatly. No, they don't. Now, I did have to do an adjustment on the height, and which was fine, I did. But the problem is they're just slightly too long so that all 4 do not fit in here. 3 will, but the 4th one will not. So I just finished printing one that I altered again in size, and I'm going to check that out and see if that works better. If it does, I'll print 3 more of them, and I've got some special screws that I hope will work for this on order. They're supposed to come tomorrow. A day without Amazon is a day without sunshine. I say that all the time. And we'll see. But then in the meantime, I thought, well, what am I going to do with these? Because they don't work. And, they took a while to print. Well, I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to glue them together. So you have this ring. And in the center part, I'm going to look for a pot of some sort or a vase or something like that I can glue on the inside of this. And this will become a general purpose holder for, say, pens, pencils, and things in the cup, little bits in each of these trays, whatever. It could be for a crafter kind of thing, or it can be for a sewer like me. So that's what I'm going to do with it, because I don't want to waste these. So that's the thing I like about 3D printing, is it stimulates my imagination. And you want to know something? When I think about this, I think that's a good thing for people in my age group. And you've heard me say this before, you got to keep your mind going, because that was my problem with my parents. They did not keep their minds going. And well, you know what the end result was, right? At least that's my theory. But if you focus on only one hobby, like I focus on quilting because I love quilting and that keeps me going creatively. But sometimes you need to move away from something you do all the time and go into another area that's very different. And I think that stimulates your creative intelligence as well. So that's what I find with 3D printers. And I know probably a lot of people got 3D printers for Christmas. And I've already gone over the ins and outs of being a beginner in this. And I finally feel confident enough to talk about this more from an intermediate users level, I guess. But it's a learning curve. It is not plug and play. You will have to play with it. You will get frustrated. You will want to throw it out the window. And all I can say is just keep at it, but use it. Have a different attitude about it. Don't think so heavily about the end product. Think about the journey to get to that product and what you can learn from that journey. And after all, it's only melted plastic. You know, it's like sewing. It's only thread. It's only fabric. If it screws up, it's not the end of the world. Start again. And you always learn something from that. I certainly do. So, yeah, it keeps the brain going. So, that's all I have to show you and tell you about 3D Corner. So, let's move to a blast from the past in my continuing series of videos from my last trip in 2019 to Australia. And this is Brisbane, but this time, this is the second part of what I called the Burbs, where we went where the real people live in Brisbane. So here's the second part of that.
Okay, this is in behind where we ate the other night, where we had the burritos on the South Bank. This is one street above that, and we're just exploring it.
Well, there's also, we passed it, but there's this Melbourne Street back where Fish Lane was.
Yeah.
And there's stuff down there too, but I don't know, we can just go
Well,
this
we'll just
way.
carry on down this way. I don't have any comment for this. We're still walking down this street we've never been on before, which is on the far side of the South Bank. We're in behind the South Bank area, I guess. Yeah, what can I say about this? It's part of the park. And we're walking along. And they're picturesque. What? Yeah, well, just trying to locate us on the map.
Alright.
Get over. Right here.
Hey boy.
So we decided we wanted to go to Spotlight, and so we had to take the bus, and well, we're off the bus and we're in the middle of nowhere. So we're looking for Spotlight. Oh joy, oh bliss, we found the Spotlight out in the boonies. And then you'll wonder why we bothered. We're going down to Spotlight. And thank you for shopping at Spotlight. Very small. Just walk through the car park. Nope, there it is over there. Yeah, I know. And there we are. We have found Spotlight. And this is what a Spotlight looks like inside. In North America, this is the equivalent of sort of a Michaels and a Joann's combined.
Sort of like a home sense too.
Yeah, true. It's got it all packed together. The fabric's over here. Now, you can look at fabric here, but you're not going to get good quality.
Well, I'll take it.
But we'll take a look. I got some fat quarters here the last time we hit a Spotlight. That was in wherever we were. Is that Melbourne?
Probably.
Okay, so Spotlight was a bust, which pretty much figured it would be. But it's nice to look and see what they've got. And if I lived here, I think Spotlight would be quite the place to be. Now we're going to try and figure out how to get across to what looks like a big mall over on that other side. And this may be trickier than you think. Okay, so we're out in the burbs of Brisbane, heading towards this big mall over here. This is definitely stuff that tourists don't usually see, I'm pretty sure. We're actually in a place called Indoor Upli, something like that, which I assume is just the name of a suburb. Yeah. Because we took the bus to get out here.
Hopefully we'll figure out how to.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to get back home on the bus, but whatever, because it's a bit of a walk, like an hour. Okay, so this is inside this shopping center in Interlupi. It's like a fairly good sized mall. And they have an Easter maze. Lose your kids. Go shopping. These skinnies. Oh, I guess we won't be shopping there.
Sheepskin specialists.
Oh, sheepskin. Ooh.
Brisbane with people climbing on.
Yeah. So after wandering around trying to figure out where we're going to eat, we ended back up on Queen Street Plaza at a place in the middle of the plaza. Walter's gone to the washroom. And we're having sort of Asian tonight. I'm having Chatty chicken and Walter's having the beef and ginger stir fry or something like that. Beef and ginger.
What's been going on in the past week? Well, we had New Year's Eve. I don't know what you did. We didn't do anything. We stayed home because we should. And you know why? We created a charcuterie tray, which is basically, as my sister said, she texted me on New Year's Eve, wished me a happy New Year's and everything, and asked what we're doing. I said, yeah, we're just sitting here having a charcuterie and some wine. And she wrote back and says, oh, cold meat, cold cuts, and grape juice. I said, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But anyways, we had that, and we basically watched fireworks from around the world on YouTube. That's the amazing part about this day and age of technology. You don't have to go there. You can get a front row seat for the elaborate fireworks all around the world. Just right in the comfort of your own home. So that's what we did. And we started with Australia for many reasons, but Australia still, in my mind, has the best fireworks display in the world. We have actually seen it in person on our very first trip to Australia. Was that our first trip? Or was that our second trip? Hmm. No, I think that was our first trip when we went to Australia. We actually saw it from the Sydney Opera House, inside the Sydney Opera House. And I actually have a video of that. If you do a search on my channel, I think I called it Sydney, New Year's Eve Sydney or something like that. You'll find it. It was spectacular in person, but it's actually, you get a really good view of it too if you watch it on YouTube. And then we just worked our way across to our own country. Our fireworks display was sad in Toronto. Now, first of all, okay, kudos to the city government of Toronto. They usually put on a big show and party at Nathan Phillips Square. Nathan Phillips Square is the name of City Hall right in the center of downtown Toronto. And every year, they usually have a big outdoor stage set up. They have all kinds of musical groups and celebrities performing up to the countdown to midnight, and then they shoot off all the fireworks around the city hall and everything. And hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people, well, thousands, congregate there for New Year's Eve. It's shoulder to shoulder. Well, obviously, given the situation we're in right now with COVID, the city of Toronto, and again, kudos to them, they didn't want to have something like that that would become a super spreader, because already they have the highest number of cases of COVID, of new COVID, daily of any city in Canada. Well, they are the largest city in Canada too. So yeah, they were taking these precautions. So instead they decided there was not going to be any outdoor concerts or anything like that. Nothing was going to happen at City Hall. There would be fireworks at midnight, but they would be shot off from Lake Ontario. They have barges out there for doing that. And their idea here was that people could see those fireworks from anywhere along the shoreline. And the shoreline's quite long, runs, pretty much the full length of the city of Toronto, and they'd be able to see it from anywhere. And that would spread the crowd out. Right? Wrong. That's not what happened. There is a park, a major park on the lakefront at the base of the main drag of Toronto. And that's where everybody went. And we saw videos of it. There was a guy walking around doing a live video, and he had walked from City Hall down to the lakefront. And you saw all the hundreds of people were all making their way down there just before midnight. And they were all shoulder to shoulder. Now, here's the ironic thing about the fireworks. First of all, it's pretty much a piss poor fireworks display to start with in comparison to the ones around the world. And it was foggy, because the one thing that the planners didn't really think of is, what does the lake give off this time of the year? The lake is still a little bit warmer than the air, and that produces fog. Steam, actually. It looks like steam coming off the lake, and it rises like way above the lake, right where the fireworks are being shot off. So you have this fairly dense fog that people are trying to see the fireworks through. So it was like, watching a video that's very pixelated kind of a thing. On top of it all, fireworks give off smoke, and the smoke hangs in the air. So you combine the smoke with the fog, guess that gives you smog, and you can't see a heck of a lot. And that was pretty much apparent in this guy's video. So yeah, people, why? Why did you feel you needed to go out on New Year's Eve? When I was younger, yeah, we did too. And it was always a letdown, actually. Quite frankly, it was always a letdown. And so for the last few years, even before COVID, we didn't bother. We'd stay at home, have, something to eat, have some wine, maybe some champagne. We did have some champagne. And, watch videos on YouTube. And that's what we did this year as well. And you want to know something? I do not feel like I missed anything at all. If anything, I probably saw a lot more than I would have if I'd gone out somewhere. And the best part of it was, too, I didn't have to think about, oh, God, did I come into contact with somebody that was asymptomatic with COVID? So, yeah, that's what we did on New Year's Eve. I guess we're getting older, too. That whole party till you puke kind of a thing just doesn't work for us anymore. I am proud to say that I did manage to stay up until 12:30. Yeah. Walter was pretty much had bets on the fact that I would probably fall asleep in the chair before midnight ever got there. And yeah, that would have been me, but I did manage. I did manage. So, and what else? Well, we had an art group, an art journal group meeting yesterday as well, and that's always nice. And God, those ladies in my group are so creative. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff that they create. I do not record it or anything like that. Because it makes the ladies a little uncomfortable. And plus, to be honest about it, I think it makes boring video for anybody else to sit there and watch it when you're not involved. But they had lots of great ideas. They had made a lot of really neat projects, and they're just a fun group, and I enjoy it. So, and speaking of other things about groups that I enjoy, what's coming up this week? On Wednesday, January the 5th, that's 2 days from now when I'm recording this, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you guessed it, it is time for Craft and Chat. Have it the first Wednesday of every month. Links to that if you want to join us. Costs you nothing. It's free. The Zoom link is in the show notes below of this video. And yeah, if you don't come right at 1 o'clock, that's Eastern Standard Time. That doesn't matter. You can pop in anytime you want to. Stay as long as you want. We usually run until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So 3 hours of where we just work on whatever we're working on. We have friendly conversation. I find it inspiring, and I always learn something. Every time I come away with a really good feeling after it all too. It just, it's like getting together with friends in a safe environment. So that's Craft and Chat. And if you want to join us, it's this Wednesday, January the 5th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link is in the show notes. And that brings me to the end of this week's vlog. So I hope you've had a good new year. I hope you're feeling, more positive about this year that's coming to us. I hope it'll be a good one for all of us. And I hope you have a good week. So we'll see you next week. Bye for now.